and not. I'd like to bring to order the regular Cedar Springs City Council meeting Thursday, October 9th at 7 p.m. Let's rise and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. We'll start with roll call. Mrs. Conley. Here. Mr. Gross.
Here.
Mr. Marvel.
Here.
Miss Rudy.
Here.
Mrs. Race.
Here.
Miss Atchison is here. We have one vacant seat right now waiting for the election. Public comments. The council welcomes and encourages the public to speak during the public comment and public hearing portions of the agenda. However, council policy is to hear the public comment, not to act on the public comment at this time. Concerns brought before the council during the public comment portion of the agenda will be referred to the city manager for action. If after communicating with the city manager, no resolution is reached, the concern will be elevated to the mayor and then eventually to the council for action. Those citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the council meeting that citizens are allowed to address the council. Please state your name and address for the record if you would like. Do we have any public comments? We'll do those first and then we'll have you, okay? Anybody online? All right. Go ahead.
I'm next. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Doug Bradeveld, here to present your audit report tonight.
You down
Recording? No, it was a little different this year. But yeah, we had a chance to walk through it and everything looked to be in shape. And so let's just turn in your books to page number 1. After we do our audit and get it all completed and look at a lot of things, we form an opinion on the financial statements, and that's found in the second paragraph on page 1. It says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the city. So that's a good, clean audit, an unmodified report that's called, and it's certainly what you want to have when you have an audit done. In addition to that, we expand the scope of our audit a little bit to cover or encompass government auditing standards, and that report is found way at the back on page 49. And this is looking at your internal controls and compliance over the financial reporting. So it's a clean report as well. There were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to report. So that's also a good, clean report. The rest of it, we're divided into several sections here in the audit. And the first section is the management discussion and analysis. Then there's government-wide statements, and then there's fund statements. So first in the management discussion and analysis, starting on page 3. A couple of big items going on during the year, as everybody knows, I'm sure. There were bonds issued and a building was purchased. There was for the new City Hall and DPW building, there was a pocket park built, Heritage Park in progress or completed, I'm not sure which. There was a new well, and then and you were involved in a pretty significant lawsuit where you were defending the sewer plant against some other people who brought it, and we'll see the effects of that on the financial statement. But yeah, pages 9 through 11. I don't spend too much time on management discussion and analysis without financial statements themselves. Start at page 9. And they start with page 9 through 11, which is the government-wide financial statements, they're called. These are on a full accrual basis and is set up to look a lot like a business's financial statements. Just a couple things to point out on page 9. You'll see about right smack in the middle of the page, there's a net pension liability of 588,000 in the governmental activities column and 170. That's a very low pension liability comparatively to other cities, so that's in good shape. You'll see the debt due in more than 1 year of 3.5 million there. That is up because of the new bonds that were issued during the year. And I'll show you more detail on that. And then the unrestricted net position, the second line up from the bottom, and I'm looking at governmental activities in the left-hand column of just over 2 million. So it's a positive unrestricted net position, and that's also good. And 2 pages over on page 11, this is the last part of the statement of activities, just to give you the net income number or the change in net position there. You can see the governmental activities actually increased 345,000, while the business type activities, which are your water and sewer operations, was down 190,000. And we'll have more detail on that with a couple slides. So just to look at a couple of slides, if you want to get that up. If these go to the first pie chart there, the next one. There we go. So this is just a pie chart of these governmental activities in this financial statement that we just looked at, just to give you a picture of where all the governmental activities funding is coming from. You can see 48% of it is property taxes. I can't see that far with my glasses on. 15% is charges and 16% from operating grants, which also includes your Act 51 money for the streets. That's part of the operating grants. And then 10% comes from state shared revenue. And I also looked at last year's pie chart, the same exact pie chart, and it's very similar to the previous year. The only primary difference being the capital grants, which you received this year, which made up about 7% this year. So those were capital grants received for I believe, a couple of the parks, and there was one other project that was received. So, and the next one, this is also the governmental activities. So this is to show you the expenses by each function in the governmental activities compared to the program or direct revenues. And you can see the expenses are generally more than the program or direct revenues. And direct revenues are those operating grants, charges for services, and those kind of things that apply to each of the functions specifically. What that tells you is where is the property tax that's not on here? Well, the property tax makes up the difference on all those bars for the revenue side. So these are just the directs. And you can see there, the street one looks kind of strange because the program revenues actually exceeds the expenses. And that's because new streets that are built are actually capitalized and not expensed. And then they're depreciated over the life of the streets. So
5 years or whatever.
More than 5 usually, but yeah. Yeah. Okay, then, so the next section of the audit is you can jump ahead to the next slide, but this is the fund basis financial statements, which start on page 12. But look in your book before you look at the pictures. So on page 12, this is your governmental funds balance sheet, and this is more the basis of accounting that you typically see your monthly financial statements it's called modified accrual to be technical, but on page 12 of the report, just the general fund we'll kind of focus on, but you can see down at the bottom there, the third line up, the unassigned fund balance is 289,000. And you do have a lot of items that are assigned for various functions like the capital replacement and fire truck equipment, that kind of thing. An assigned fund balance means it's set aside for future expenditure. And then jump ahead 2 pages to page 14. This is the income statement. And the left-hand column there, the general fund, which is kind of the catch-all. You can see about 6 or 8 lines up from the bottom, issuance of long-term debt of 1.4 million there, and that's the new bonds that were issued for the purchase of the building. And I think I can cover the rest of this on the pictures. So these are your general fund revenues. Just to give you can see taxes for the last 5 years. These are your property taxes. and then the street revenue, and then other. So taxes, you can see what we like to see is that trend going up year after year. That's due to increases in taxable value. State revenue is state shared, and then there's also a couple of little grants buried in there. And then other, you can see took a pretty big jump there. And that's due to a couple of those grants that were received. It's about 300,000 or so in grants that were received. So that bumps that other category up quite a bit. 250,000 of that was federal grant, so we don't have it in state. The next one. This is just the property tax revenues. Again, the same thing we looked at on the previous one, but a little bit longer history for you. This is about 10 years. There's 5 years on the left there that slowly increased, and then it took a big jump in 2011, and then it's been steadily increasing pretty good from there through now. So that's the value that's been going up like crazy. No one can buy them, but it's good for you guys. Next one. And this is the expenditures by function in the general fund. Let's look at the easy ones first. Transfers out are a little less. Recreation is up quite a bit because of the park projects that were done during the year. So capital outlay drives that number up a little bit. And public safety is up. There was also some, I believe there was a fire vehicle and some other fire equipment that was purchased during the year. And then, yeah, general government, look at that. That's 850,000 of that is related to attorney fees that was paid for to defend the city against that lawsuit. So you didn't lose anything as a result of the lawsuit except the attorney fees. So it's pretty something I shouldn't talk about.
Sad.
What it is. Mm-hmm.
There was, in addition to the 880,000, there was also 500,000 charged to the sewer fund. So it was about a 1.3 million hit overall to the city.
Lawsuit we won. So far.
The next one. So this is your general fund balance as a percentage of expenditures and transfers. And you can see that went from about 60% where you've historically carried it, and now it's down to 10%. And just one caveat there. I was talking to Emily earlier, but there are many one-time expenses, and the expense drives that number down. So there's the purchase of the building, and there's the attorney fees that are in there. So that drives that down. If those aren't repeated next year, I mean, you'll have some renovation stuff next year, but that should come back up automatically as your expenses go down. But it is important to keep your eye on that bottom line, your fund balance in the general fund. You know, it dropped about 800,000 during the year. So we just want to keep it in focus and keep your attention on it either way. And then the next, we can look at the next pages. The next set of statements here is your proprietary funds, your water and sewer fund on page 16. You can see near the bottom of page 16 is the net position. So the ending net position in your sewer fund was about the unrestricted, the second line up is 1.6 million. So that held its own. The water fund's about the same at 1.68 million. So just a little bit higher. And the third line up I wanted to point out, because I'll bring it up in a minute. The restricted for debt service numbers there, 816,000 and 222,000. Those are USDA bond set asides. So the bonds that you have issued through the USDA requires that you set that money aside. It's also restricted cash up above, which is about 5 or 6 lines down from the top. So I'll bring that up in a minute again. So just these slides here are more the income statement side of the water and sewer fund. You can see your revenues in the sewer fund have held pretty steady from previous year. Your expenses took a big jump, and again, that's that 500,000 in attorney fees that was charged there, causing a decrease or in net position. That's the yellow line going the wrong way to the left. So other than that, that's a one-timer. The total loss in that fund was 270,000. So without that big attorney fee hit, you would have been positive again. About the same as it was last year. So one-time anomaly, hopefully. And then the next one is just the water fund. And this one you can see the water fund had a big revenue surge last year. And that was due to some ARPA money that was recognized in the previous year that caused revenue to jump up. And then this year there was some other one-time expenses occurring in the water fund so the revenue or the change in net position, rather, the yellow line wasn't quite as high as it typically has been in the past, but I think those are just, again, one-time expenses that'll come back. So no more pictures for you. In the footnotes, page 7, these are the footnotes to the financial statement. They just give a little bit more explanation on various things. We do have to report the excess of expenditures over budget. There was only one small overage of $3,300 on footnote 2 on the top of page 37 or 27 rather. So that's not bad. Near the bottom of that page, you can see we have this restricted cash that broken out. There's that 816,000 and the 222,000 that I mentioned from the water and sewer fund. Now, of that amount, that middle line there is reserved for replacement and improvements. And I suggested to Darla and Emily that this is money that you have to set aside each year, but it doesn't have to accumulate. It can be spent. So as long as you have, going to check it out for me, but I'm not 100% sure if you have to get permission from the USDA to be able to spend that first or not, but it can be spent on renewal and replacement things, systems. So it doesn't have to just accumulate till the end of the bonds and be this massive, huge number. So that's a possibility for you to tap into a little bit of that, perhaps. And then page 30, note 6. This is your long-term debt footnote, the detail of all your debt outstanding at the end of the year. And the governmental activities are just under 4 million. And you can see kind of right in the middle of the page, the new unlimited tax bonds that were issued during the year of 1.4 million. That's for the purchase of the building. And then note, that leads nicely into page 35, note number 10. After that one was issued, a second bond was issued in July of the current fiscal year. Note 10 right in the middle there, the city issued 3.5 million in bonds, and that's for the renovation of the building. So that'll bump up again next year. Just wanted to point out the funding on your pension plan. It's in good shape, but if it's on page 39, 10 years. The third line up there is your percentage of the pension liability. So that's the number that you look at. And the 2024, you're at 79% funded, which is very good. And you can see historically it's been right around that 80, high 70s to 80% for the last 10 years. So it's working how it's supposed to and doing good. All I had. Is there any questions I can answer about the statements?
As always, fabulous.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we have no public hearings. I would like a motion to adopt the agenda.
I will make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
And those who agree, say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to, we don't have to change anything on the consent agenda, do we? Anybody have anything that they want to bring out? Okay. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I will make a motion to present the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Oh, do we have to roll call though? That's money. Yeah, let's do a roll call. Sorry, guys. Pam or Mrs. Conley?
Yeah.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
Mr. Marvel?
Yes.
Miss Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Ray?
Yeah.
And Miss Atchison votes yes. All right, we're on action items. You want to speak on that, Rebecca?
So tonight before you, you have a proposed social media policy. This policy really all it does is enshrine what we currently use the social media policy, the social media accounts that we have for the city. So it's written in a way so that way it's transparent and we're, giving the information to the public. They know what we're using it for. Essentially, it limits the comments on the page because we just simply don't have staff members to monitor that. So it's just essentially the policy is exactly what we're doing currently. But we just want to be more transparent with the public as to why we're not responding to comments on that Facebook page and social media accounts.
Policy that's practiced official.
And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on it as well.
No questions. I think it's great.
Any questions, discussion? Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I will make a motion to adopt the social media policy as presented. Does it have a policy number? Are we attaching?
See number, it's just not listed in your agenda.
25 or something.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. All right, let's move on to discussion items. Personal property, new ordinance for enforcement of city property.
So before you tonight, you have an example of a previous community and their personal property ordinance that they have. Ms. Falcon would like some discussion on whether or not this is something that you would consider, or if you would like for the city to adopt something similar. So essentially, it covers the inappropriate use of public spaces, sleeping or camping in public parks, those types of activities that are prohibited. This would allow law enforcement to better enforce that. And I know John has some information on some statistics on that and some of the things that they have run into. So
kind of give you an idea, what has prompted this is we've been getting a lot of reoccurring calls from the public. And these are just some examples. So we get a lot of calls of people living out of vehicles in Morley Park, in the parking lots of the government or the public parking lots, the library parking lot. We found a lot of tents and people camping in the parks and in just public property in general. People sleeping overnight in park bathrooms. And then as a result, there's been some destruction of property in the public bathrooms. I spoke with DPW recently and they also reported finding fire debris inside of the bathroom the morning after. Trash being left behind where people have been camping in public grounds. A lot of general reports of people not feeling safe using especially Morley Park. There's been some concerns of just the general appearance of the park due to what people perceive to be people living out of their vehicles in the park. We have come across drug paraphernalia in what used to be campsites. We had an incident recently where there was a church service being held at Morley Park, and one of the parties living out of their vehicles threatened to gut one of the churchgoers for no apparent reason. I know personally of 9 individuals who we've had reoccurring issues with, and I just did a quick statistic report today. those 9 people, we have had 117 contacts with since summer of last year. So I'm just asking to consider an ordinance similar to this one, just so that we have some authority to act and hopefully minimize these reports in the future.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
My only concern has to do with the White Pine Trail and the North Country Trail. We have agreements with the state and the USFG that people can camp if they're through hiking.
On the White Pine Trail.
And well, the White Pine Trail also has the North Country Trail running alongside of it. Federal, the not paved portion that's mowed. So I mean,
And that's a good question to ask, and I think that that's something we'll have to speak with the attorneys with. But I would say most of the issues we've been having are directly behind the library, some of the public property by the apartment complex at the dead end of Oak Street, and again, just like the parks, the Morley Park and Heritage Park and the park bathrooms and stuff. So we haven't had really any issues that I'm aware of on the trail itself.
because I have seen a few through hiker people with their backpacks and I mean we've said that we want them. So, but I'm also assuming they're not the people that are
Not that I'm-
threatening church services with weapons. And you know, I mean, I guess it could happen. You want to hike through from somewhere else.
Yeah, and this is not something that would specifically target certain like homeless individuals. That's not what this is for. This is essentially, and in fact, in this ordinance, this example of an ordinance talks about that. If we were to come across someone camping on public property, we would have to inquire if it's due to homelessness. And if it is, we can offer them directions to a homeless shelter and even offer them a courtesy ride to that homeless shelter. So before we take any enforcement action, those things have to be done first. And then if they refuse,
Because I remember not that long ago, we had an issue with a person like who was homeless, who was sleeping on the trail. And they actually passed away and were found. We used to walk by them with our dog. And we had no, like, what do you do? We now have a
I think this is just kind of a good medium. I mean, we obviously want to be sensitive to those that are struggling and those that are in need, but I think
if you come across that, you can say to the police, this is a thing because at the time there wasn't.
yeah. And I looked through the ordinances and there's really nothing that covers camping or there's a definition here of camping. And it goes through what is camping, what is camp facilities, and what is camp paraphernalia. So it's really in depth, and I think that it would at least, like I said, we're not going to go out hunting for campers per se, but I think when we get called by a citizen, at least it gives us something to enforce.
Make a comment? I think it's past due. I think it's something that's really needed. And I'm sure the fire department has run into things at times with people that they have found and calls necessarily for it. So there is a cost to the city. Plus you have to be concerned about the person that's there. And I think it's past time and we need this.
Yeah. And like I said, this is just 9 people whom I've dealt with, and I know their names just because of prior experience with them. And 117 incidents with these 9 people.
It's a lot.
Is way too many. And the reason why we keep having calls is because we're not able to do anything. And we have to respond when someone calls, even if we know we can't do anything. We still respond and we document it. But at least now we have almost documentation that we need to do, I think, something.
Other comments? Discussion? Mrs. Johnson, do you have anything else?
So generally in favor of looking at something to address this issue. Okay. All right. And we will bring that back.
Do we have any communications?
You do, but nothing to highlight.
And we've got the community event calendar, the regular calendar. What's the audit governance letter?
What's already included in your packets there tonight.
All right, and what do we have on the Cedar Blitz bike race? Anything? What's going on with that?
Annual report that they submit on expenditures and how the event went. Yep. Mhm.
And then we'll move on to department reports. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Are there any complaints basically received based on the Blitz? The bicycle race?
But John, do you have anything you would want to add on that?
No, in fact, really, I don't think we had any complaints, but the one incident that I was aware of is a dog ran out in front of a bicyclist causing injury. And that's, I mean, it's hard to prevent that. It's hard to plan for that, but along the route somewhere, there was a dog that ran out in front of a bicyclist.
The city though?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
As far as I'm aware, other than that, I think it went well.
Anybody else? All right, city manager has other, things that she had to see to tonight. So we'll have the assistant city manager, Mrs. Johnson.
So just a couple of general updates. The Heart of Cedar Springs project is going well. At this time, they are looking at finishing on time. So that should be completed substantially by October 23rd. We did not have any instances or any problems with Red Flannel Day, so that went very well, including all of the festivities in that area. We continue to work on City Hall. We meet every other week and meet with the construction team over there. They're doing a great job for us, so we are on track with them as well. And then just a couple of updates from the Downtown Development Authority. We did have 3 waste stations that you guys approved at your last meeting. One of those have been installed and the other 2 will be shortly installed in the next week or 2 as they wrap up that Heart of Cedar Springs project. We also did approve of the hanging baskets for 2026. And then I also did have a chance to visit about half of the DDA district, just introduce myself, explain to them what the DDA is, what they do, how they get their funding, and some of the projects that they have recently worked on. So that was well received by the community. Other than that, I would just update that the MML convention was really, really good information. The city of Cedar Springs was highlighted by one of the keynote speakers. So that was kind of neat to kind of be called out for the good things that our community does. So that's all I have.
Department of Public Works, Tanya, are you on?
Yes, I am. Good evening. So the project with the Heart of Cedar is going well. We've cleaned the restrooms daily, water the flowers on Main Street and parks. Started and finished the beach and 7th and 5th Street projects. Put the flannels up downtown. Did brush pickup, got 8 loads. Removed a partial tree that fell in the cemetery and raised 2 of the headstones that were sinking. Other than that, we've been busy with the daily things that we do. That's all I've got.
Patty, can you remind us when the leaf pickup is?
So that's actually going on right now. Tomorrow they're gonna make their first round through town to let people know that we're there, we're ready to pick them up. Hoping that people will start to put them out more this weekend. But that will go on until our first heavy snowfall.
Oh, we don't have a date that ends.
I think it's like the day before Thanksgiving,
Oh, okay.
unless we get snow before then.
All right, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to pick up leaves from a snowbank, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, just another good thing that our DPW is doing. Thank you.
Yep, have a good night.
Law enforcement, Sergeant Paulson.
This year was my first year with Red Flannel and I was very stressed out. But overall, it went well. We had a meeting after Red Flannel just to speak with some of the Red Flannel Committee, and they had good feedback. So we talked about a lot of things that went well and some things that we can do better for next year. So I'm excited for next year. Not as stressed out as.
Your
So
text,
It's the unknown, right?
not even the slightest bit stressed. You seemed very happy and cheery when I would say, I have a crying toddler. And you're like, okay, we'll be right there.
All right. Oh,
did, a bio for the Cedar Springs deputies that have been selected for next year. So
yeah. All right. Great.
I didn't catch that.
yeah, there's some pictures in there and just a history for each one of them.
Nice. All right.
Which is a thing. Other than that, we see a new face. Now we've got a picture that goes with it. So it's great.
Fire Department Chief Detloff.
It's been a very busy September. This is still best time of the year. Got football games, parades, everything going along with that. Red Flannel went really well. Got a lot of positive, happy notes about the Model A. Everybody seems to be ecstatic that it's back. We have been very active in the fire department. We actually have 2 firefighters retiring. One is Captain Brian Jenkins. He's been on the department for 18 and a half years. And firefighter Chuck Haynes, he's been on for 25. So we're going to go through that. We'll probably have some stuff for them next month, get into that. I also have 2 firefighters that are actually going into firefighter 1 and 2. Andrew Seawood, as well as Aiden Crouch, are both in their firefighter training to go through that stuff. So it's a busy time of year. Everything's happy. Everything's moving. Any questions?
Calls.
Oh, actually, we're actually down 50% from last year.
Hear it and hear it and hear it.
I
Constantly.
get out of bed at 5:30 and I start hearing the sirens.
You hit our time. That's one of the things that we're working on right now is I'm trying to get some better reporting ability so we can detect when our hot spots are in the area, in the the township and the city, to find out when our biggest times of our rushes are. 5:30 to 7:30 is a very busy time in the morning, and then right around 3:30 to 4 can get a little busy.
Going into school and coming out of school?
I can't say it's not related to that, but it could be. It's usually when people are waking up.
Met a 16-year-old driver. I mean, I'm a high school teacher. I've met a 16-year-old driver.
Those times, those are the times when you're usually have the least number of people available. You have people going to work, coming from work, and so forth. And that is the peak time, and it always seems to fall right in there, where you may get 2 or 3 people that are available, and always a challenge. So, but
There's lots available. I'm hearing the
We're having a full timer starting at 6:30 is try to cover some of that because I have a lot of people that actually go to work at 6:30, so I lose off that support. But yeah, I'm up at 5:30 every morning, and I'm usually one of the ones making all the racket.
How is staff with the retirees? Are you low?
We are getting to the point where, like stressed, like most of the departments in the area are. Where I have a feeling what's just happening right now is the fire department in general is having a generational shift. So we have a majority of our firefighters, the fire chiefs in the area are retiring. Cortland has a new fire chief. Sand Lake has a new fire chief. And I did it, a couple years ago. So it's just a generational change, and we're trying to get through all of that. But we're working on it. We try to build with what we can and how we can get through that process. So
Snow, if you need some assistance. All right, anything else?
one other question for the chief. I've already talked to Darla about this. Would you explain, because it was something I've asked you about, why there is not a manned door entry into your fire apparatus bay? The reason I'm asking this is it makes no sense. Come out of the parking lot, go into the main office, around through the main office, to come back out into the apparatus bay, to get to the trucks and your gear. So could you explain why there is not a door there?
Well, originally, when we started the whole process going through, the man door was actually planned to be right by the gear when you get through the door. With a lot of changes and overruns with the building, a lot of that stuff got eliminated and going through. There's actually a worst case that's happening right now is I'm finding that people are actually going through the main doors, opening the main doors and going through that and coming through, which puts a lot of wear and tear on our garage doors. If it's just, like a response to the medical, that's okay because that door is going to open anyway. But I think a lot of it was due to design changes with the city manager at the time going through, trying to incorporate a whole bunch of other things and try to cut costs wherever he can. That was something that was missed, and I think it was pulled out. It's something we could probably look at doing because it can keep the dirty zone in where it's supposed to be rather than going through our offices and getting into that stuff.
And part of our conversation and questioning it, he took it in and showed where it was designed to be there, but it was just bricked and metalled over.
Oh, so we could, in theory?
It's a simple fix, and it should be done.
Yeah, that could be fairly simple done. It shows it on the plan. So
You said you talked to Darla about,
I had spoken
Okay.
Darla about it, but it's just, I asked her if she was aware of the fact that there was basically a portal there that was never developed. It just doesn't make sense. So
I can get prices and going through that.
if you would, please.
That and see if there's some other options in the area. Yep. Not an issue.
City Clerk.
So, I have one little housekeeping thing. It was mentioned to me, in the last few weeks that some people are trying to watch the videos online and they're struggling to hear us. So I am a culprit. They can never hear me. So I made sure I have the microphone. So I meant to mention it at the beginning of the meeting and I did not. So if we can be cognizant of trying to speak into our microphones, that would be helpful for the people that watch online, not the people just necessarily live, but the people that watch the recordings. So, you guys have my report, so I'm not going to talk too much, but the election's coming up. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, preparing for that. We sent out our AV ballots. Those have probably been received by everybody. We're getting a nice turnout so far back in the mail. So at next month's meeting, I'll have report numbers for you guys on how that all goes.
People can still come in and register. People can still come in and get an absentee ballot, right? All of the above.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. We gotta have the microphone back for Finance Director.
I don't need two. Okay, just one microphone's good. Yeah. All right, so I just want to thank Doug and his team for their work on the audit. They made it mostly painless, but I am happy it's done. So now that the audit is done, I've got some state reporting that I have to work on between now and the end of the year, so I'll be busy with that. In terms of tax collection, summer taxes have been 93% collected, so hopefully that number will continue to go up between now and March when we have to turn them over to the county. And then I will also be preparing for the winter tax billing in November. We'll be mailing out bills at the end of November with collections starting December 1st.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anything from code enforcement or building inspection? No, then we had the board commission minutes in our packet. Council comments. Mr. Marvel.
We approved the master plan on Tuesday from the planning commission, so it probably will be at council for next meeting, I'm guessing. So that was a big accomplishment, finally. We got a new planning commission person, so I think we got a really good team on the planning commission as far as that goes. And there's a lot of intelligent people that throw some really good ideas out, so that's heading in the right direction, I feel. And as far as this meeting goes, yeah, pretty painless. Great job on the presentation. And thank you guys for all you do. So yeah, thank you.
Mrs. Race.
Red flannel went very well. I think the only thing that I really heard was that we needed more trash cans out because they were just spilling everywhere, and that was really the only thing that I read on. So besides the trash, it turned out to be a warm, busy day. So, and it was really nice. My daughter walked in, she's in the marching band this year for the first time, so she got to do that. She was very excited. So, but just appreciate everyone's help and appreciate your work. I know it's a lot of work for you guys, so thank you.
Mr. Gross?
Apologize for not giving you notice that I wasn't going to be at the last meeting. If there was a last minute thing that came up with one of my positions that some people were looking for some input and directions that I thought was going to be short. So I was willing to meet with them prior to the meeting, and I finally finished up with them probably after the time that the meeting was done down here. So it's not my intent, not let you know I'm not coming. Not asking you to be excused, just letting you know there was a reason why. So. Yeah, well, especially after you heard that I supposedly had a spell a month before. Right. That was somewhat over, I guess, concern on my kid's part. But anyway, I take this very serious, and I feel I should be here because it is my job to do so. And even though I did really plan on retiring, and I apologize to the public because it seems by everybody they sit next to me ends up leaving, and I'm not sure what the problem is, but it's a good group of people. We address a lot of things, and for whomever is elected coming in, please let me know if I'm offensive, and I will try to sit further away or whatever, so we can maintain an entire board for a full period of time. Okay, that's it.
Ms. Rudy?
I'm not scared. Jerry, you can come over and sit by me. Just want to thank everyone for everything that you guys do. The police and the firemen, you guys are awesome. And yeah, it's been a fun part of the year. Fun summer. It went by quick. That's it.
Ms. Conley?
Yay. And is this your first audit, right?
No,
I was here last year.
So, wahoo. And we haven't always had perfect audits. I mean, we did after Darla, but there was a time when it was, so that's a big deal. So thank you for that. I mean, you make us look good. So that's huge. And this upcoming election, it was very exciting to get my ballot in the mail already. So one of my neighbors was like, I just got my ballot. I swear I just voted. And I said, well, that was a primary. We're going to do it again with a few more things. So I love that you all have that just happening like clockwork. And just this crazy thing with the lawsuit. Still going. That's what, 3 years now? Almost 3. May the force be with us. So in general, I just really appreciate how highly competent you all are. You make it look easy, and it's not. So thank you, and thank you. Are wonderful. As I said, you might have felt stressed, but the like 500 texts that I sent you with each missing thing that I'm sending with the picture and this person's phone number, and you're like, received with little smiley faces. I had no idea it was even remotely stressful. So thank you for that. Again, you make us look good. So yeah, it's just wonderful. I love how just top notch, and I'm not offended by the siren. I just am noting there's a lot of them at 5:30. And I think, wow, whew, okay. So thank you for being there and making that happen. So yeah, I didn't know that was like a hot time. Yes, we need a full-time person. So,
Have one.
yeah. But I mean, just if there was any question. Yeah. So thank you for that. So just again, all of our people, you're all just so capable. You make it look easy. Thank you for that.
I guess that's leaves me. I had a good time in the parade. It was a sea of people. I could not believe how many people, even down at the where we came out onto Northland Drive, it was packed down there. I mean, it's just surreal. And really, actually, most of the kids that I saw, because we were trying to stay to the side at least, were staying back, which was good. It was the hardest part is waiting for 2 hours when you get there to wait for the parade to go. We're like, okay, I'm ready already. But it was great. It was great. It was I just couldn't believe, rows and rows and rows of people. And then every once in a while, you'd see this group that were no red. Yeah, there's no red right here, but everything else was like red. It was great. So good community. I'm seeing that we're getting more people coming to certain things, which is great. I had a lot of good comments at work after that in Grand Rapids. So, talking about the red flannel that they had gone and they enjoyed the parade. I guess it was an hour-long parade. Yeah, it was really long. So, of course, I didn't get to see it, but it was it was great. So, and it wasn't that bad. The traffic going by because I'm on Fifth and Pine. Um, it wasn't that bad. I mean, there weren't too many squealed tires and stuff, so it was really good. I think people were patient, and so I think it was great. I enjoyed myself, and it's people like you that are helping us get the roads closed and everything taken care of. And um, did we have any emergencies because of heat or anything for the parade?
Couple, we had one at the high school.
Oh.
Heat related.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, other than that, once again, thanks for, yeah, great. Really appreciate you. And with that, we're adjourned.